So we know maybe too much about what Dave Aranda can do as a head coach, but he was one of the most sought-after coordinators at the time that Baylor hired him because he was the defensive coordinator of the national champions at LSU. And I've said it time and time again. I thought it was going to be after this year, but I think when his time's up at Baylor, he is going to go and be an excellent DC again, and then hopefully figure it out and become a good head coach after that, as long as it's not someone that Baylor is playing. But he was an excellent DC and was truly one of the most respected defensive minds in the sport at the time Baylor hired him. And it only looked better after 2021 when he took them to new heights, and it was on the back of just a fantastic defense. And so I wanted to go back and look in a little bit more at the numbers of Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator. Because again, we know the head coach, it's mediocre. He has 3 losing seasons in 4 years. He's under 500 in his tenure at Baylor, even though he had a 12-2 season, the most wins ever for Baylor in a season. And of course, a Big 12 and a Sugar Bowl championship. But just looking at his time at Wisconsin and LSU, so that's 2013 to 2019. I picked when he kind of made the big time after Utah State. So Power 5 programs, because I think that's a good metric to go with, Baylor's Power 5 program. And so looking at the total defense numbers at Wisconsin, number 15 in the nation in 2013, that moves up in 2014 to number 7 and culminates in his last year there to number 4 in the nation. Total defense, number 4. He's in the top 10 twice, in the top 15, all 3 of those years. They had suffocating defenses, man, and it was because of him. And then he goes to LSU. In his first season at LSU, where I think he's splitting duties at this point, just the first year, he takes a bad defense and puts them at number 25 in the nation. That's still pretty good, top 25. By the way, I think this is worth noting. The next year, Wisconsin, which only lost, I think, 1 draft pick to the NFL on the defensive side the year before. So still a lot of Aranda's guys. Wisconsin goes up to from number 4 to number 2 in the nation the first year that Aranda's gone. Now you can say, oh, well, maybe that's because Dave Aranda wasn't there. No, they were top 5 anyway. That means he brought in some damn good talent. And then the defense gets better at LSU. 2017, they're number 10. 2018, they're number 12. So, okay, you're starting to see a bit of a dip. I mean, look, I'll take number 10 or number 12 any day of the week at Baylor. But there also is a bit of a change at this time with LSU because the end of the 2018 season, Joe Burrow starts taking snaps at quarterback. So in 2019, LSU's defense drops. It drops to number 25 in the nation. But that's also because they had one of the best quarterback seasons of all time with Joe Burrow winning the Heisman. And yeah, they were putting up 40, 50 points a game. Your defense takes a hit when your offense is scoring in a minute and a half every time. And your defense is on the field a lot more. When you have an offense that good, anything in the top 40 is going to win you a lot of football games. And we saw it at Baylor with Art Briles. In the mid-2010s. There were some years where they were in the top 30 in defense, and they were going 11-1 because their offense was that good. So, yeah, they take a dip to 25. But the trade-off with that was going 15-0 and winning the national championship. Because I've seen the comments out there, too, of, oh, they won it just on their offense. Bull. I mean, you're in playoff games where your team is scoring 45, 50, 55, 60 points in the case of the Oklahoma game, and you're keeping teams under 30. The very best offenses and teams in the nation, you're keeping them under 30. That's going to play every single time. Every single time. You're keeping Trevor Lawrence and Jalen Hurts, the number 1 overall pick in the next year's draft, and a Super Bowl quarterback under 30 points. This guy was getting in everybody's heads. Lincoln Riley couldn't sleep at night thinking about Dave Aranda defenses. And in that time, his LSU draft picks, Deion Jones, Jalen Mills, Jamal Adams, Tre'Davious White, Devin White, Patrick Queen, 5 first-round picks at LSU. 5 just on the defensive side of the ball. This guy can coach. And also in 2019, just number 25th in the nation in total defense. They forced 17 picks that year, which was 11th. So they were ball hawks. Okay? This guy can coach some football on the defensive side. Now, this is a different animal to be the head coach and the defensive coordinator or the defensive play caller. So for all intents and purposes, the defensive coordinator. That will still be Matt Powledge's title. But it will be Dave Aranda making the play calls. On paper, just from what we've seen of him as the DC, you're in good hands. Now, that said, this is also the head coach who has come and told us in the last week or two that he doesn't know a lot about NIL. He doesn't handle the transfer portal well, and he doesn't handle the head coaching position well because they're 3-9 this year. So take it with a grain of salt, but Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator, is awesome. And I wish we could see down the line how good Matt Powledge, the defensive coordinator, could be. And I talked yesterday about Jeff Grimes kind of getting a raw deal. And Drake talked about this too, but it was really unfair on Matt Powledge. Dave brings in one of his guys that is still young, hungry, and has learned under Aranda and gives him a defense that's all freshmen and sophomores. He knows the talent's not there, at least not yet. These guys are young. There's no experience, and there's very little talent on that side of the ball. And he brings in a first-year DC and says, okay, go ahead. Figure this out. Your first time as a full tilt DC, go and figure it out. That sucks. And now Powledge gets demoted. And I got to believe he's looking to see who's going to give him a call. He's like, man, I busted my butt to come down here and be the defensive coordinator. And I get this deck with no aces in it. And that's what this guy hands me. And it's not good, but it's only my first season. And now I'm demoted. Now I'm not the play caller. Are the players going to be listening to me or are they going to be listening to Dave? Dave's the one calling in the plays on Saturdays. It's a rock and a hard place for him to be in. So on one hand, this is my mentor. This is the guy who still can take me where I need to be, right? And I'm in the Power 5. I do have a great opportunity here as the first-time defensive play caller. Now that's gone, but I still have a good opportunity here at Baylor versus do I take the risk to be a defensive play caller again like I worked all these years for? And who's it going to be under? Is it going to be someone I haven't worked with before? Who knows? Joey McGuire likes him a lot. I don't think they're ready to make a DC change, but it's just a rock and a hard place for him. And I know it's part of the business, but it just seems it's just another notch in the belt of the argument. Why would a coordinator want to come here to Baylor in this situation right now? But this is the last chance. And so that's why I wanted to break it down. Can we put the confidence in Aranda to be the play caller on the defensive side and that be the fix of all these problems? I don't think so, because that's a huge jump to take on in a year for a coach who's on the hot seat and has already told us he can't handle all the things to be a head coach to then take on extra responsibility. I don't know. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down there. Everything helps with that. We're going to be going over offensive coordinator potential hirees tomorrow, which I can't wait for. That's going to be a fun show. We will have a basketball game to break down, but Baylor men's basketball in the top 10 now, by the way. Congratulations to Scott Drew and the boys. That's just for posterity. We all know they were in that anyway, based off KenPom. They might be number 1 soon in KenPom. So all good news going on there. But we're going to break down some potential OC candidates. And there are some familiar names and ones that might surprise you, or familiar names that also might surprise you. Thank you for making this your first listen today and every day. Find us on YouTube or find us wherever you can find your podcasts. We're there 5 days a week. And in some cases, weeks like this, we'll put out like 10 episodes in a week. So I'm Cam Stewart. Thank you for tuning in. And this is Locked On Baylor.